Hi, I'm Christy Wilhite. I'm a math teacher in Southern Maryland. I'm actually originally from Michigan. I was born and raised in a small town in the Thumb area. I went to Saginaw Valley State University where I received my Bachelor's of Arts in elementary education with an emphasis in middle school mathematics and social studies. When I moved to Southern Maryland, I started out teaching 7th and 8th grade math. From there, I moved down to 6th grade math. And then from 6th grade math, I moved to where I'm currently at teaching the STEM 6 math portion, which is pre-algebra. I work in an interesting classroom in that I actually get to co-teach. In our STEM programs in the middle school, we have one science teacher and one math teacher, and we work with our kids for 3 periods a day. During that time, we teach math and science, and we try to integrate engineering challenges into our curriculum that will also tie in technology. So we really do have our hands full. When I first heard about this program, I knew it would be a perfect fit for me in that I needed to brush up on how to integrate technology into a math curriculum. When I first started, I really only knew about maybe BrainPop and Study Island and those different web pages that students could go to practice the math skills using the games. Little did I know that there are so many more resources out there that I could use. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to show you some of the different things that I've worked on and some of the different things I've learned over the course of the last 4 years since I started this program. One thing that I found very, very challenging to begin with was working with Dreamweaver. Dreamweaver was the program that we were required to use in EdTech 502 and also 506. So one of the first ones we're going to look at is a website I designed in 506, which was a geometry website. What you're looking at now is the homepage to the geometry website. Geometry is a very visual and hands-on unit that I teach in my classroom. And there were several different aspects of it that I really wanted to try to integrate technology. We have Geometer Sketchpad, which is an excellent program. It ties in the technology piece, and it gives students that visual that they need to see when they're learning geometry. One of the most important things for me when I'm teaching geometry is the vocabulary. So the first thing you're going to see here, after we click out of the homepage and move into the vocabulary page, it was just a simple chart that I set up for students they could either type in, they could download a version, type in the words, and then draw in a picture, or they could very easily try to find a Google picture, or they could create one using some of the different tools in Windows. We're going to look at another one later on, another online piece that I thought was very, very cool. The next thing we're going to look at is the cheat sheets. The cheat sheets I created are just the formulas, but one of the assignments in 506 was to create some visual aids to go with the courses. So these are examples of some of the different visuals that I developed throughout the course. The formulas the students have to know, they're required to know for the state testings, and as we are starting to move over to the new Common Core curriculum, they're actually going to be required to know a lot more of those in the 6th grade. The students, I've used this site for the past couple of years, and the students really enjoy knowing exactly where to look when they forget a formula. They could very easily Google it, but I also have on my school website that I've created for the students a link to this website so that they can very easily go through and find the formulas that they're looking at. One of the big things they stress in our curriculum is constructions. And when I say constructions, that's where the students have to use geometric tools, compasses, protractors, and rulers to create shapes using the given information. And when I used to teach this unit, they used to have to pull out paper and write down every direction word for word that I wrote down, and then they had to watch me as I sketched it. So what I decided to do for one of the assignments in this class was to actually create those notes for them. So when you look at this constructions page, you can see that I went through and typed in the directions, and then I also provided a visual as to how to do it. I still at times do the notes. I've simplified them a lot because the students can again link to this website and pull up those rules when they're going to working on these at home. It's much easier to pull those up. It also works really well for those students who have difficulty with the writing or have really messy handwriting, which some of my sixth graders tend to have, having these notes and having them available online as well has seemed to really help with the kids. One of the engineering challenges that I was able to create for math was the aquatic colony. And basically the students have to create a colony, would be an underwater colony, an underwater city, and they have to find containers that could represent the different buildings. And what they need to do once they've created it, they have to make a 3D drawing, which you can see at the top of the page in the website, along with the step-by-step directions as to what they have to do. In the end, the mathematical piece is finding the surface area, the area, and the volume of their structure. We're going to look at in a little bit some different ways that they can present their findings. The students really like this because it's a hands-on activity, and it also gives them the ability and the freedom to have some fun with it and be imaginative when trying to create these buildings. The final page I want to show you on this website was the web that we were required to do. And I was actually really surprised at how much my students enjoyed the web. They were able to look at each piece of the unit. They were able to see what they're going to be graded on and the different assignments that they're going to have. So I've actually started using, because of this class, the concept of webs and giving the students that information at the beginning of the unit, so then the kids knew exactly what I expected of them. Leaving this class, I walked out with an abundance of information that I could actually take back and have applied in my own classroom. The visuals, it's a lot easier for me to use Fireworks now. Dreamweaver is becoming a little bit easier, but I will say the Google Sites has become my favorite thing in the whole wide world to use in my classroom. One of the other classes that I took more recently, integrating technology into the curriculum, had so many resources, and I think that's what I loved most about this course was the abundance of resources, be it the online resources that we could tie into the curriculum, the Prezis, the Glogster, the SlideShare, the different things that we were able to pull out of it and use in the classroom was just mind-blowing. And if you look along the left-hand side of my screen, those are the different weekly assignments that we had. And I've been able to take and use these in my regular classroom as well as these resources. The first one I want to take a look at is the math vocabulary. And this was an online book, and when we were looking at the geometry site, they are required to do vocabulary. And after taking EdTech 541, I had learned that they could actually do one of their vocabularies and create a book with it. And some of the students like having that option to create it digitally, be it in a PowerPoint or a website like the one that you see here. Back to the Edmodo, I piloted this in my classroom last year, and the students really loved it. One of the major concerns I had with it was it looked a lot like Facebook, but otherwise it was a very easy way to communicate with the children. It was a way for students to communicate with me, a safe and secure way for the students to communicate with me. It was a way for students to communicate with each other, as well as post and share information and projects. And when you look on there, you can actually see one of the some of the posts and some of the different things we did in our classroom. Padlet was a very cool and amazing way to show a product. And the Padlet that I showed you, or showing you here, is the aquatic colonies, the Finnish colony. The students actually had to take a photo of the Finnish colony, post it in Edmodo, and then I was able to pull them off of Edmodo and create one Padlet so that you could see how everybody else created their colonies. That is something that I'm toying around with, the idea of maybe having them create an online book or doing something online and using some of those other resources that I learned during EdTech 541. Now the virtual tour and the virtual tour through space, the next two websites that I created, kind of worked hand in hand. I created one and then found a way to tweak it and make it better. The virtual tour I created after talking to my co-teacher and needed some help with astronomy. So creating this virtual tour, this virtual field trip, students were able to go through and look at the different planets, and there was a short video that went with each one, as well as a short blurb about the planet. And then below that, I tied in the mathematical piece, providing math questions that they needed to answer, and websites to help them get those answers. So what you're looking at now is the home page, and when you move on to the next one, the example I gave you is Mercury. So you can see when you click on the planet is when the video would come up, and the description and the short blurb is along the side, and then below it is where all of that math information is. And as we looked at this, we loved this, but there was still more we wanted to add to it. And as I took EdTech 511, we learned how to incorporate Flash into this. So what I did is actually created more of like an online PowerPoint with some of the information from the planets, but I was also given more information to put into this website. So the first thing that we looked at, my co-teacher Nathan Swick provided me with some materials that he uses, and we just created an electronic copy. The first one was the phases of the moon, and that is actually one of the 6th grade content standards that we're required to teach. So it was great for the students to have the ability to, again, go online, link to this, and pull up that visual. The next page is the seasons, and it's something every year that the students seem to struggle with. And so this visual Nathan actually created himself was to help students remember why we have seasons. The next couple pages are ones that I added in as the math piece to try to pull more math out of it. And one of the activities provided by our textbook company was looking at scientific notation, and it tied directly in with the curriculum that we were looking at. And one of the things they're required to do is multiply fractions. So I also added in a multiplying fractions piece to this. Now what the other things that we added in was an assessment piece which combined the math and the science together. The things that we did with this unit is something that we would really like to do more often. The EdTech program has taught me so much as what to do, the different types of technology that are at my hands, the different resources I can use, the ability to actually work together with somebody. That the collaboration piece that we did throughout the program was just amazing, and the different ways we did it. The Google was just an eye-opening experience for me, and I was very excited to find out that our school system has moved to a Google-based email. So this last year was our first year with the Google, and we were able to actually give our students and get our students on Google Drive. So the students were actually creating and sharing Google Docs, Google Spreadsheets, Google presentations. I had them creating Google Sites with what they learned. They were able to collaborate and work on some of these assignments at home using that chat feature that's available within them. We use a Google Site now to communicate with all of our parents and students. Some of the different units that we do, we create a brand new Google Site for it. So Google alone has just changed the way that we've been teaching in the classroom. And I hope as technology continues to change that I still have the available resources and I will still continue to learn all of these new things that are available to me, but I can't express how much knowledge I've walked away with and how much I've really enjoyed working in the EdTech program. Thank you.